Using story to sell. Connect to your readers. Back in 2013, I spotted this cool author chick online. She had awesome book covers and wrote sweet romances that I was swooning over. Her characters were fun, relatable, and the stories captivated me and thousands of other people. I thought to myself, I want to be like her someday. She had a big Twitter following and her tweets were often hilarious. I was just getting serious about self-publishing and had one book, less than 100 followers on Twitter, and my Facebook account was non-existent. I'd made my own book covers and was a newborn when it came to self-publishing. She was so cool, though. Sparkly nail polish, cupcakes, publishing books all the time. If we'd been in high school, I would have been wondering if she'd let me sit at her table during lunch, if she'd even give me the time of day. It turns out that she didn't just seem cool, she was super nice too. It started with email. We were boosting each other's books and having small talk about being indie. Then, over 2,000 emails later, we're best friends. 2,000. I'd like to get a word count on that because neither one of us is brief. I'll admit that I'm especially long-winded. And then there's always the, wait, just one more thing email because we weren't quite done. We hadn't said everything we needed to. We've critiqued each other's books, edited, formatted, done all the things for each other. We've outlined books that we want to co-write. We've discussed writing books about writing together. We've seen the changes in this industry, both traditional and indie. We've had ups and downs, cried together when we feel like we're failing, encouraged each other to keep writing and going, and we've celebrated landing agents, traditional deals, and best-selling days. We've been there for each other through difficulties outside of our writing lives, losing family members, health issues, financial woes, big audacious life decisions. And now here we are, co-teaching a course that brings together everything we've learned in our years of writing, publishing, and promoting. We're bringing you in on our email exchanges, our friendship, and what it's really like to sustain a career as an author. And I still get excited when I have that message alert that says that she has sent me an email. You just never know what the future holds or what wonderful people will wind up changing your life forever, for good. Do you have a bestie who's been on your journey? If so, keep them close. If not, don't miss an opportunity to connect with people in our Facebook group. You just never know. You might meet your new best friend there. Maya Angelou said, I've learned that people will forget what you said, people will forget what you did, but people will never forget how you made them feel. Using story to sell your story. Whether you're using an ad on Facebook, social media, or whatever the medium, when you use the aspects of the storytelling arc to elicit a connection, an emotional response, excitement, and curiosity about your story, you are establishing a connection that goes deeper and wider than something like, on sale, click here, buy my book. Why? Because when you share a story, it affects our brain chemistry and creates a bonding effect. Were you thinking about friendships when I was telling my story about Amy and I? Did your first foray into writing come to mind? Perhaps you were thinking about the high school cafeteria scene. Sidebar here, you are welcome at our table in our writing community. There's little that ruffles my feathers more than exclusivity, so pull up a chair, let's hear your story. You are welcome here. So back to brain chemistry. If you're a parent, you may have heard about the hormone oxytocin. To simplify it, it's often referred to as the cuddle or love hormone because it's released when people have contact or bond socially. This happens when we share stories too. When we hear stories, we fill in the gaps between what we're hearing and our own experiences, creating a bond. Engagement. Think about whenever you're most engaged with something or someone. Read a book lately? You're engaged because you're reading the content. Also, your mind is creating the image of the main character, their expressions, the setting, the world, all the details. Next time you're chatting with someone who read the same book as you, compare notes. Did the main character look exactly the same? I've had numerous people dreamcast books of mine if they were made into movies, and although the characters look similar, there are always distinct differences. This is because our experiences and interpretations influence our vision, making the experience our own. Showing versus telling. When a person is giving a speech and they just spout the dry facts, they lose the listener. If I had said, in 2013, I met a writer. She was really cool. I liked her books a lot. Now we're best friends and created this course. Were you drawn in? Were you curious? Did you want to know more about her books? Meh. In my original story, I mentioned that she had hilarious tweets, wore sparkly nail polish, liked cupcakes, etc. That might prick your ears and make you wonder. If she's funny and cool in real life, maybe her books are entertaining too. Think about when you're most engaged. It's when someone is telling a story, showing where they're relaying something personal, emotional, momentous. I made up a word. This is showing versus telling, and we can use it in our sales efforts as well as obviously writing books. Why do people read? Escape, adventure, solve a mystery, get a thrill, and so on. Our job as storytellers doesn't stop when we write the end. It continues as we endeavor to find readers, and we must convey feeling in our sales materials. Not in a sleazy, fake way, but in an authentic, meaningful way where we create a connection and build trust through sharing. Purpose. Also, we don't want to make the story just about us. Yes, we have our author brand and all that, but we need to produce a feel, know, do response in our readers. Feel. How the story we told made them feel. No, they are likely to experience more of that in our book. Do. Buy the book and read it. We're merely the medium to connect readers and our books. Think of it as a book lover's love connection. So, storytelling option 1, story tie-in. Two friends, Jason and Amelia, haven't seen each other in 10 years and ran into each other after their mutual childhood friend went missing after a nasty breakup with their boyfriend. They were both devastated, but it turns out they're both the prime suspects. When their friend is spotted in Mexico, her ex tries to get on the first plane there, but is arrested at the airport. Then he escapes over the border, and Jason and Amelia receive a text with a single line, "I need your help again." Find out if Jason and Amelia find their friend in XYZ book. Chills? Curiosity? Did they really reunite after 10 years, or were they in contact all along? Was the ex involved in foul play, or did he want to win her back? Did Jason and Amelia initially help her out of a bad relationship? So many questions. I'm pulled in. Are you? Compelling logline blurb blend. Formula equals story, character, emotions, conflict, specific details, plus the call to action. So this might be familiar if you took Module 1 on the lesson on blurbing. Storytelling option 2, personal anecdote. After I sold my first traditionally published book, I was on top of the world. I made more money in 1 month than I had in a full year. I was flying high on sales and reviews and how awesome it was. I thought, this is my future. It's going to be like this forever. Then I crashed. Sales and reviews didn't, but I did. I wrote a second book that was very personal, the book of my heart. My editor had me perform what she called surgery after receiving the manuscript. She didn't really think it was going to captivate readers and sell. So it felt like I was creating Frankenstein's monster. She pushed me, made me flex my writing muscles until they were burning. I didn't want to do it. It was agonizing. At times, I felt like I was betraying my original book. We cut out scenes and characters, added others in. I was so close to the story, it was almost painful. But my editor had a scaled back view, the big picture, and she was objective. She taught me that the book wasn't about me. It was about the reader experience. And so to go back to the Maya Angelou quote, what the reader would feel was what we wanted to elicit. It turned into something so much different than my original vision. The book was better. So, dead rock stars, first love, and friendships that become sisterhoods. Maybe you're interested in reading it now, versus if I just said, my book is on sale for 99 cents today. That tells me zilch about why I should care, why I should part with my money, why I should invest my time in reading it. It's lazy. We're storytellers. It only makes sense for us to use story to sell our stories. If you don't like the phrasing sell, replace it with share or reach readers. Also, return to your goals. If your goal is just to write and not sell books, that's fine, that's great. But if you want to make a living as a writer and have a career, sales is a big part of the gig. Love it or hate it. But you're a storyteller, a writer, so use those methods to create a connection and the transaction isn't at all slimy as opposed to just shouting something like, hey, buy my book, you'll love it. So here are some examples. Share something personal that happened in real life. You visited a castle, inspiring a scene in your fantasy adventure, and it was definitely haunted. You did something totally embarrassing and used it as inspo for a scene in your chick lit. A grouchy old relative has an annoying habit that you donate to one of your characters. You can use these in your sales stories. Make it relatable. Formula. Personal story related to your book. Characters, maybe you, how the experience felt, setting, events, details, plus a call to action. Story archify your story. This is extremely simplified, but then your story isn't meant to be a full-length novel, just a tidbit to get a reader interested. Beginning, setup, introduction of character and conflict. Middle, an event, moment, turning point, and what comes next as a result. and a challenge overcome, lesson learned, experience had. But don't leave it there. Add nuance, depth, and purpose to the story. Imagine you're telling it to a group of friends. Use tone, emphasis, and depth to bring it alive and connect it to your book. Who do I tell my story to? Social media, podcast, blog, website, when telling people about your book, instead of factual sales copy. Everywhere. You wrote a story, you have the ability to craft another story to draw the attention of readers.